The sky turned black, the stars fell down. United we stand, but we're losing ground. One world beneath the iron fist. Voices silenced, they cease to resist. Echoes of hope in the darkening night. Fading whispers of a long lost life. Rise up, hear the call to arms. In this storm of chaos we'll find our charms. Together we'll fight through the ashes and dust. A phoenix reborn in our hearts' purest trust.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a special edition for the Nighthawk Eye Strangeness podcast channel on YouTube and Facebook. I'm Nighthawk, your host, and we have got a special person on here tonight for you all, Gwendolyn Purcell. Now, I'll go through a bit about her. I'm not the greatest at reading, so, if I mispronunciate things, don't hate me, okay? But I'm also going to go through the disclaimer, too, because we know how YouTube is and AI and algorithms is my own. As always, I claim fair use of any adult content under the Copyright Act of 1976, and furthermore, I wish to acknowledge that not all the opinions and theories mentioned during the podcast are not necessarily the opinions or the views of Nighthawk Eye Strangeness podcast channel, or AKA William Nighthawk. We at Nighthawk Eye Strangeness YouTube channel and Facebook channels merely bring to the format of open discussion and the possibilities of topics happening in the past, present, and future. Please join Nighthawk Eye Strangeness YouTube channel family by subscribing and hit that like button. And when you're in the chat, please be respectful and put all questions in capital letters for our guest. Okay. We have tonight Gwendolyn Purcell. Okay. I've known this young lady for quite a while now. I had the privilege of meeting her at one of the ECBRO events. In fact, here's a little picture that we have that I'm going to put up. And I've even got David Lester in that picture too with us. And just to show you the crew, there's the crew. Okay. Why do I always look short and fat in pictures? That's terrible. Well, I got a beer belly. Oh my God, and I don't even drink. All right. Anyways, we're going to take that nice picture down and we're going to get into it. Okay. I'm going to introduce Gwen, and Gwendolyn Purcell is a dynamic and enterprising individual with a deep rooted fascination for the mysterious and the unexplained. As a podcast host from Behind the Tall Trees and Bigfoot, the podcast, she delves into the enigmatic world of cryptids, particularly focusing on Bigfoot. Engaging listeners with intriguing discussions and expert interviews, which is a lot better than what I can say from me. Her entrepreneurial spirit shines through as the creator and owner of Got Knockers, a unique brand offering Bigfoot-themed merchandise that resonates with the enthusiastic and believers alike. Beyond her ventures in audio, storytelling, and retail, Gwen is a visionary behind Strange Knocks magazine, and you guys got to check that out. Okay, I'm going to say that again: Strange Knock magazines. Okay, and I'm sure she'll explain a little bit about that. Where she serves as the chief editor, curating the content that explores the mysteries of the world. So it's not just about Bigfoot. Okay. She also brings communities together as the organizer for the Central PA Bigfoot and Cryptid Festival in, I want to say, Sellens Grove, PA. I probably mutilated that, but she can also talk about that a little bit, providing a platform for enthusiasts to share experiences and knowledge. Through her diverse projects, Gwendolyn champions the allure of the unknown and fosters a community of curiosity and discovery. So everybody, I want you to give a warm welcome to Miss Gwendolyn Purcell when I bring her on.
Hi.
There she is. Here we go. Everybody, welcome Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn, it's good to have you on here, kiddo. It's been a
It is
while since we
nice.
talked last.
It has been a long time.
Yeah, yeah. And we're gonna just have fun tonight. We're gonna talk about a couple things, and I want you to just
Perfect.
basically feel at home. You're an old hat at this. You know what you're talking about. So this interview should be one of the easiest interviews I've ever done in my life. So that being said, I'm gonna hit you with one question at a time. Okay, but I
Okay.
want you to go over first. I want you to explain your magazine. Okay,
Oh,
if
this
you would,
is
please.
this is my baby. I absolutely love this thing. This is the fourth issue that came out. It's not the most recent one, but it's the one I have sitting here available. But we cover everything. It covers any cryptids, any paranormal, bizarre true crime, like 411, stuff.
There we go.
Um,
You can hold it up
all
there
kinds of
again.
all kinds of paranormal subjects, and of course we do interviews with different people,
Is
and we
is
talk
that
about
the
crazy
creepy Winnie
places.
the Pooh?
It is the creepy Winnie the Pooh. I actually got the opportunity to meet the man who played Winnie the Pooh in the horror movie. So we did
No,
an
thank you.
interview with him. It's in here. So
That's
I
cool.
love the
That is
magazine.
really cool.
Yeah, it's become like my little baby. So I love it.
Cool. Good.
Yeah.
Now, what actually got you interested? And this is like an opening question that everybody always has to answer. I've even answered it probably 100 times in
Absolutely.
the last couple of years. But what has absolutely got you so interested in the whole Sasquatch, Bigfoot, cryptid field and
Oh,
researching and stuff like that?
I did not grow up believing in Bigfoot. I did not. Um, I didn't believe in Bigfoot at all until 2021 when I actually saw one, and I kind of had to do a double take because I was like, at first I thought maybe what I was looking at was a person, but I mean, not to be kind of strange, but it wasn't wearing any clothes and it was completely black from head to toe. And it was huge what I was looking at. And I've hunted in this area my entire life ever since I was a little girl. And I have never seen anything like this in forever. So at this point
Right.
I'm not watching the shows. I'm not like I don't know any of this about Bigfoot at all. But that's the only thing that I could think of that I'm looking at. So I started deep diving like Bigfoot reports in Pennsylvania and Bigfoot reports in my county and Bigfoot reports in my area. And I was shocked at how many there actually was. Because and
Oh,
I
yeah.
just continued from there. Like I'm reading each report, and what they're describing is what I'm looking at.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, my husband's like, "What is wrong with you? You've been really quiet today." And I'm like, "You're going to think I'm completely crazy, but I think I saw a Bigfoot." And he said, "You're crazy. They don't exist here. If they do exist, they're in the North Pacific, in Washington and Oregon and California." And I was like, "I don't know. All of these people, we live in in an old coal town region." And he's like, "They're drunk coal miners." And I'm like, "I don't know if all of these people are drunk coal miners. Maybe some of them, but
But
I
they
just
all have fur coats, I mean,
it was just bizarre." And I just from that moment of seeing that Bigfoot,
yeah,
I have never looked back. Like I've been full bore, out researching, trying to just prove to myself that I saw what I saw, because
exactly.
that's the only thing it could be.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I understand that feeling. I had the fortunate life of actually growing up and interacting with them. So, and to be honest with you, my first sighting was right in Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's amazing.
In fact, probably just a stone's throw from where you're at.
Oh,
It
where did you
was my first sighting was in a little area off of Lake Erie
go? Okay.
in northwestern Pennsylvania. And I'm not going to disclose the exact location, but
Right.
it bordered the state of New York. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
and
where I research.
and I got to tell you, you know, your first time seeing it, even as a child, as I was like first visual. I mean, I always was told the stories of them existing and stuff,
Right.
growing up and all that. But as a young child, you know, and just enjoying the day with a couple buddies, and seeing it and the size of it and just it's something you don't get over. Okay,
No.
it's something that if nobody's ever experienced it before, and you just can't explain what happens to you.
Hmm.
But tell us about can you describe what you saw a little bit better in more detail, or
We had pulled up to the end of our road, and you can either turn left or right, and it's cornfields straight ahead of us. And I just
Mhm.
happened to look up, and I saw this figure walking across the cornfield, upright like me and you, arms swinging, large steps. And at first I thought, oh, like somebody's down in the cornfield, which I kind of found odd because the farmer doesn't even live close. When he comes to the field, he drives a tractor, and I'm like looking around, there's no tractor. And I'm like, who the heck would be? It's February. There's snow on the ground. Like, who in the heck would be out here? It's not hunting season. And the more I watched it, I'm realizing, wait a minute, that's not human. Like, so what kind? Then I start down the animal rabbit hole, and I'm like, that's not a bear, because a bear would not take those long steps. Like, they have shorter legs, they take smaller steps, and I don't know that it would have been upright across that entire cornfield. I
Mhm.
was, it's not it's not anything. It can't be anything else except for that. And I've never, in all my years of hunting, I have never seen anything like this before in my life. So
Mhm.
I gotta tell you, it threw me completely for a loop because at first I thought I was going crazy. This huge, tall, black figure that looks like it's as broad as a barn. I mean, it's wide, it's tall, and a couple of weeks later, I saw a hunter come out of the woods. I don't know what he was doing, but he had an orange vest on, and he looked tiny compared to what I saw. And I was like, holy crap, like that thing has to be a lot bigger than I thought it was. It's got to be at least 9 feet tall, and it was wide. Like, you couldn't miss this thing. Like, it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And then there's the
Hmm.
holy shit, that's like 1,000 feet from my house. Like, you're like, oh, holy crap. It just, over the course of time after seeing this thing, we started to really question. We had weird things happen before we saw the Bigfoot, like outside on the property. And I've always been a paranormal investigator. I mean, I've been a paranormal interested in paranormal stuff since I was a little girl. And
Hmm.
we live in an area where there were Susquehannock Indians in the town that I live in, and they walked a trail right through my backyard from one town to the next town. And so everything that happened, I'm blaming it on paranormal stuff. Well, that's got to be paranormal. Well, that's got to be this. It's got to be that. And then after seeing the Bigfoot and starting to read all the stuff and starting to watch all the shows, I'm like, no, wait a minute. for the past several years that I've lived on this property, this stuff that's happening outside could have very well been Bigfoot the entire time. And we just were chalking it up to something else. So it's kind of mind blowing when you start really going through events and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I say it's the 30 seconds that changed my entire life. And people laugh when I go, Bigfoot literally walked into my life. Because he did. He literally walked into my life.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Yeah, Corey's
Not
right
good.
on that one. Bears don't glide like they do.
No.
I always call them the big dark ninjas of the forest, is what I call them, because they moved like freaking lightning.
Yeah.
And they could, I mean, if you want to talk about adaptive camouflage, I mean, they can disappear in a heartbeat. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I mean, have you had very much, in your life, paranormal activity encounters, or, and if you had, tell us about that. I mean, see, my connection to this whole thing is I'm a firm believer that people that are more engaged with the supernatural or the paranormal are having more of these cryptid encounters. And I was,
That could
I
very
wanted
well
to
be.
see what you had as far as a background in other things too.
Mm-hmm. My first paranormal encounter was when I was just 4 or 5 years old. There was a man that would stand in our living room, and at different times he would be in different places, but he just stood there. He was completely dark, like a shadow person, and I do not remember him ever having a face, but he had a hat on, and he would just stand there like he was just watching what was going on. And I remember not being afraid of this entity in the living room. At 4 or 5 years old, you just assume everybody sees the guy standing in the living room, right? I don't know that
You're
he's
not
not
talking the Hat
real.
Man, are you?
Well, I don't know, to be honest. He was wearing a hat and what looked like a suit, but he didn't have a face, and it was all very dark, like a shadow.
Interesting.
But
Interesting.
he never moved. One night he would be here and you'd see him again, a night or two later, and he'd be over here. So he was never in the same place twice, but he didn't interact with us. It was just like he was just standing there in our living room watching.
Right.
It was just
Wow.
weird.
Okay.
But
Well,
every house
there's
I've
two
ever
things.
lived in. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's two things that I've actually, through my encounters and stuff, I've always found where there's paranormal encounters, whether you're dealing with a cryptid encounter or whether you're dealing with, shadow beings or, anything out of the paranormal realm. There's always water involved, first off. Okay. And there's usually a type of a land or a named place around the area that has something to do with something ominous. Whether it's like the Devil's Tower or the Devil's Chair or, anything along that kind of a symbolism in a naming. I found
Right.
that those two things kind of correlate together. And to me, it's amazing. Or there's some type of legend pertaining to the land that is the area that you're having the encounter in, like something attached to the land. So, do you think that's what it might have been?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, this area was home of the Susquehannock Indians. And at some point, the British people came in, dispersed those Indians, and some went north, some went south. Tracking them after they left the area is nearly impossible because some went and joined the Iroquois nation, and some went, eastern, and some went, south. And so there's not much history after that. And the 72 flood wiped a lot of records away. So trying to find, like, I've been digging and searching, and it's nearly impossible to find.
Yeah.
Surely there's got to be a burial ground here somewhere. I don't know. And if there is, I'm not sure anybody else knows either. But
Well,
surely there's got to be something.
is that located more towards the southwestern part of Pennsylvania, or is it
No,
more
we're
central?
like right in the center.
Okay,
We're
well
right
then
at
you
right where the Susquehanna River branches off into two. That's where we
okay,
are.
then you're dealing with the Seneca Nation too, though. You with Chief Corn Planters people
Mm.
that were flooded out by Kinzu Dam.
Okay.
And they had to literally leave everything behind. They had like no notification. They barely got out of there with their lives, and I,
Oh
I
my
do believe
gosh.
some of them did perish as far as that goes too.
Mm-hmm.
So those flooded lands were done that way to the Seneca Nation um, because of President Kennedy passing that law,
Right.
and yeah, and that's what flooded those lands out. That's a big paranormal area too. I mean, I used to
Mm-hmm.
go up in the Allegheny Mountains all the time in that area, and
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you for a fact that that is just a very, very that whole area is very, very bizarre.
Yep.
Um, to put it lightly. So you having an encounter like that, and even possibly multiple encounters, it doesn't surprise me at all with the energies there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yep. It's crazy around here.
So other than that one Bigfoot encounter, the initial encounter, have you had any other strange things happen along that lines?
Um, we get funny you ask. I don't talk about this very often. Um,
We don't
but
pass judgment here.
2 weeks after I saw the initial sighting of the Bigfoot, I was sitting in bed. It was like midnight. I'm reading a book. Um, and I like to sleep in the cold. So I got like the window cracked open. Now, this is February, end of February. And it sounded like someone was standing outside of my bedroom window whistling. Now,
Yeah,
we live in the country, and you can't even see our house from the road. Like, if you're standing in my yard, it's because you know I live there. So
right.
my husband was like, "Shh." He's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Didn't you hear that whistle?" He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "Something is outside." It sounded like it was standing right outside the window and it was whistling. So we run out the back door and we run around the front of the house, and there's absolutely nothing. And I was
Hmm.
like, that's crazy, right? So 2 months go by and it's 2:30 in the morning. We're both sound asleep and we get woken, both of us. So I'm like glad he hears this because I thought maybe I was losing my mind. But it sounded like metal was being ripped off of our house. And
Wow.
I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, and I'm like, we're both hearing this, right? And he's like, yeah. We grab, I'm a gun toting person, so we grab our handguns, we run out the back door, around the front. There's absolutely nothing. Nothing's destroyed with the house. There's nobody running. There's nobody standing there. There's nothing. Absolutely nothing. And we're like, what the hell is happening? Like, the only thing metal on our house would be like the spouting. It
Right.
sounded like sheets of metal just being like
Ripped off. Yeah.
destroyed.
Yeah.
And there was absolutely nothing.
Hmm. I've had places where I've lived, and especially where I grew up, where it would seem like something would hit the side of the house so hard
Mm.
it felt like a sonic boom hit the house. I mean, it
Oh
was
my
loud
gosh.
and it shook everything. Yeah, where I grew up, it was freakishly haunted, and a lot of strangeness around that area.
Hmm.
And we had swamps in the area. We had a lot of woods. Um, we had streams and creeks all over the place. I mean, it just and obviously, with the Erie's Native people and the Seneca Nation there, it was a very highly active Native American area.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, and I do believe that has a point to do with a lot of the paranormal activity people are experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know how you feel about that, but I've always thought that, and I know from my own dealings in the past that I've talked about that, putting, the elementals out there to protect the land and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I know I'm not the only one that did it. So I kind of know that there's a paranormal connection to why people are seeing and having a lot of weirdness happen on
Right.
previously occupied native land. So, but yeah, I mean, is there any other connections you think you could make for the reason for having so much paranormal activity there?
Um, Other than those Susquehannock Indians being displaced, and I'm sure have passed away, and we don't know how many British people actually killed any Indian people.
Right.
I don't really know. Now, our current house that we live in is haunted. We have 4 entities inside this house. And one of them I know came home with me I'm a paramedic, so I run on an ambulance. And I know for a fact that one of those entities came home with me from a call. And the
Mm.
creepy part is it's a 4-year-old child
Oh boy.
that,
That's actually sad though, too, though, to
yeah,
think about it. You
it
know,
is.
yeah, I wouldn't want to have any child stuck here. That's
No,
actually really sad. But
no, it's,
so can you talk a little bit about that? Can you explain about how that might have happened? How that attachment happened?
um, I was on a call. This is several, oh, well, this is a while ago. This is probably 2017. And I got called for a drowning, and it was a young Mennonite child. And it was kind of one of those things where they have, a lot of kids, and everybody gets called to dinner, and everybody's like, where's Johnny? And they're all like, I thought he was you, thought he was you. And then, they realize, oh crap, Johnny's missing. And they go out looking for him, and he was floating in the pond that's on the property. And I don't know. It was one of those times in my career that I literally grabbed this kid. I ran to my truck. I laid him on the stretcher and was like, I kind of lost, like, my coworker's like, come on, Gwen, snap out of it. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
because it was surreal. But um, I worked to that child for a good 45 minutes or an hour before they called it at the hospital. And it was, I think, my first drowning patient, and it was just
Mm.
very emotional to me. So I don't know why he chose to come home with me, but um
Well, I know why. I know why. Actually, I know why exactly, because you were so emotional. You were sympathetic, and you valued his loss, his loss of being here. So of
absolutely.
course he's going to feel that motherly energy coming from you, and he's going to want to attach himself to somebody that actually gave a damn about him. Yeah. So
That I did.
that's yeah. So I mean, that's not unheard of, my friend. That's not unheard of, especially in
Yeah.
your line of work.
He likes to toy
Unfortunately.
with me.
Yeah. Well,
He likes to hide
he's
stuff and move stuff, and he likes to play games with me, and so it hasn't
yeah.
been a bad experience, but initially I was like, holy crap, yeah, I have this little kid in
Right.
my house. And then I've accepted it. He's here, you
Yeah.
know. He likes
Well,
to move the
he's
hairbrush, and
accepted you. He's accepted you. So you got to
yeah.
accept him.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Everything inside the house is nice. So we have a not so nice entity in the garage who's actually pushed me down the stairs on multiple occasions, and
Ooh,
I've ended up in the emergency room. Yeah.
really?
Yeah, her and I are about to have a come to Jesus conversation.
There you go. There
And
you go.
somebody's going to be
Like
listening
that word.
because yeah, yeah,
Smack with the word.
she's not nice at all. Not nice at all.
Wow. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
dealt with my share of that stuff too, let me tell you. But we're not going to make this about me, kiddo. We're going to make it about you. Okay. So, I want you to just basically, if I've already gone over some of these questions with you backstage,
Mhm.
but what would you consider the most intriguing encounter with a cryptid or
Mm.
paranormal that you have had? Okay. Um, but you wouldn't want to have happen again.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I've had some really crazy experiences at different places, but I would have to say probably the thing I would never want to have happen again. I lived in an apartment by myself and I worked night shift, so I was sleeping during the day and they were having like a 4th of July parade or something in the middle of the day. And it woke me up, but I was physically unable to even lift my head up off the bed. Like something was holding me down
Mm-hmm.
in that apartment. I did not live in that apartment long after that because it freaked me out so bad. But I physically could not even lift my arms up. Like something, it felt like there was a weight on top of me.
I've
And
had
I
that
was
happen. Yeah.
panicking like you would not believe. Like I wasn't able to breathe. I was freaking out. Like it was incredible. And it wasn't but a couple months after that when I got the heck out of there. And I
Mm.
never looked back on that
What,
apartment.
was it? Was it just an entity that you couldn't see, or did you know that this entity had the capability of doing that?
I didn't even know there was an entity in that apartment.
Oh, okay. So it completely
So,
caught you off guard. Wow.
yeah, and I couldn't see anything, like, there was nothing physically there, but something was clearly like, there was a lot of weight and a lot of, like, a pressure, like, I couldn't even, like, formulate words, really. It was incredible, and I don't ever wanna do that again. That was insane. I don't know what that was, and
Mm,
whatever it was did not go with
yeah,
me to the next house, so yeah,
that's good.
I would not ever want that to happen again.
So
That was very
that
scary.
entity, yeah, that entity was attached to that property more than likely, and not you. Thank
Mhm.
God for that.
Yeah,
So most encounters like that, where there's some type of physical force holding you down, or even, dare I say, attached and possession, those are hard to get rid of. You really
I
need to know
believe
what
that.
you're doing when you're doing something like that. Have you picked up things from the woods and brought them home? That's a good question.
Uh, I have this fascination with rocks. I bring rocks home from everywhere. Yeah, I
I
have
got you beat on
I this was a rock that I actually got gifted on my property, but I everywhere I go, I'm just drawn to like a rock laying on the path or something or in the woods and I just have to pick it up and bring it home. And my husband's like, "What the hell are we doing with all these rocks?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but I got to bring them home. Here they are." And I have a
I
whole
do. Yeah,
collection of
we do
rocks.
the same thing. We do the same exact thing here. I swear to God, we're family. We got to be related somehow, because
I
I
know.
do the same thing, and and it's just it's incredible, because even on work sites in my past, where I've worked on construction crews and stuff, putting in like back decks on homes and stuff, and digging up the ground and finding cool rocks in the dirt.
Yeah,
I've always taken them home, and that's I don't know, it's really strange to me too. So
yeah.
I think it's kind of cool though. But yeah, can you let us know about your, let's see, your merchandise, your Got Knockers merchandise, and your podcast, please? Okay, we want to plug the podcast and stuff. We're
Yes.
only going to probably go about an hour tonight, everybody, because my computer is real glitchy. And I see Eric's backstage, and thank God he's working the chat for me. So, I appreciate that, brother. But I'm afraid to
Oh.
bring him on because the computer might crash on me. Just so you all know, Eric is here.
Yeah.
He's backstage. I can see him. I can wave at him. I can stick my tongue out at him and all kinds of fun stuff. Okay. So thank you, Eric, for being here, brother. I appreciate it. Anyways, yeah, tell me a little bit about your podcast and about when it comes on and how people can find it and all that,
Oh,
and
sure.
about your merchandise.
The Got Knockers brand started shortly after I saw my first Bigfoot. I went all in, like Bigfoot, watching all the shows and doing all, taking notes, and, I'm paying attention to everything. And I decided, I decided in September, it was my birthday. And I was like, I'm going to go on a BFRO Bigfoot expedition. So I paid way more than I should have. And I went on this expedition with probably 20 people I have never met in my life. My husband thought I was crazy. He's like, you could be out here with some serial killer for all you know. And I'm like, well, probably, but whatever. And
Smart man.
I went on this Bigfoot expedition, and it was crazy to spend that kind of money, but I made the best friends that I have ever met in my life on that trip. And some of us are still researching together today. And
that's cool.
So we were hiking, and one of the BFRO guys picked up these tree branches that were on the ground, and he cut them and he debarked them, and he was using them as tree knockers. And I jokingly said, when I get home, I'm going to make you a t-shirt. And I came home, and it was supposed to be like a little plug on the, got milk, got this, got that. And so I said, got knockers. And I sent it to him, and he's like, you have to trademark this. And I was like, get the hell out of here. I'm not trademarking this. That's ridiculous.
I'm going to embarrass you. Here you go.
I know. I was like, what? Like, Chat GTP or GPT, whatever you call it, really took the Got Knockers thing to a whole new level. I was like, if only I looked half that good.
I had to do that. That's hilarious.
It was crazy. It was hilarious. Yeah. I laughed so hard when I saw that. But I ended up trademarking the Got Knockers logo, and it's just gone since then. But it's turned into a podcast and the magazine, and we have a store, and it's crazy. Like, it's absolutely crazy.
When do you sleep?
I tell people I sleep hanging from the ceiling. I'm like a vampire. I just,
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but
good.
So I got connected with some guys from the Catskill Appalachian Research Collective, and they invited me to be on a podcast, and I ended up taking over that podcast. And then most of the guys are gone from that group. They're not even in the CARC anymore. So I kind of have the reins on the whole Catskill Appalachian Research Collective. And so I'm still doing the podcast. It's been real sporadic over the last year because of all the stuff that I've gotten myself into. But I'm back doing it, and we're every other Tuesday. In fact, we're going to be this coming Tuesday. And I'm interviewing Aaron Drees from Small Town Monsters.
Okay.
On Tuesday night. And then it turned into, we have a radio station close by called Bigfoot Country. So I was doing a Bigfoot, the podcast on with the radio station. Yeah. So.
Well, let's see. What else do you got to do? You got to write a book now too. So we got to get you a book. And
you're gonna have to right?
Make some AI music. You're gonna have to put out an AI music Bigfoot radio show. So a couple songs here and there.
That would be hysterical.
And what else do we got to get you to do here? One thing we got to get you to do is we got to get you to figure out Lake Champlain and that monster in that lake up there. So,
I would love to. I do have a start with the magazine, and I absolutely love that magazine. It is so cool. I get more and more writers every day. So I think I'm up to like 22 contributing authors
Oh,
that
that's cool.
submit articles to me, and about anything and everything. Like if somebody has a theory about Bigfoot, I want to hear about it. I want to put it in the thing. If somebody has a theory on the Loch Ness monster, or a theory on, the Flatwoods monster, or the Jersey Devil, or I want to hear about all of them. If you've
And
had a crazy, crazy paranormal experience, I want to know about it. Like it's
my
been
theory on the
incredible.
Flatwoods monster is they were sipping on some serious moonshine. That's my theory on the Flatwoods
They
monster.
could have been. I
Either
mean,
that or they come across an Appalachian witch. So,
but yeah,
no offense to any of the witches out there, okay?
no. But then,
Uh,
we started I go all over, I travel all over the country. I've been to England several times speaking about Bigfoot. And the one thing that I took home was that we don't have anything here in my neck of the woods, like in central eastern Pennsylvania. There's really not any Bigfoot festivals. And I said to my husband one day, I really think we should do a festival here. And he's like, are you crazy? Like, what if nobody comes? And I'm like, what if everybody comes, So I took on this festival, and it has exploded the last 3 years. So I got to be doing something right. Although you'll run into people that say I suck at it, but that's okay, because whatever. I don't
well,
care what people
we're
think.
gonna there's some serious Bigfooter people up in that area though. You got John Stasko,
Mm-hmm.
you got Bill Rigby,
Mm-hmm.
you've got well heck, you've got um oh, I can't remember his name for the life of me now. You've got the group down in Greene County,
Mm-hmm.
down below Pittsburgh. I can't remember their name though. And then you've got you got Chadwick Gales. He's another
Mm.
one that's up there. So I mean, you
Yep.
got a lot of good researchers in that area.
Oh,
Hopefully, something
absolutely.
will happen in that state and really get some recognition.
I hope
So
so.
yeah.
I do a lot of research in the Allegheny National Forest, and I've heard some of the most crazy, bizarre stories out of there. And I don't care what somebody tells me. The first thing I'm going to say is, "Will you take me there?" Like, I want to go where you had this experience. I want to see the area. I want to feel the energy. I want to see, just what is going on there. And
Mhm.
so that's my thing. I've heard some very crazy, bizarre stories about portals and dinosaurs and inverted footprints in the mud and like all kinds of stuff. And
Yeah.
the first thing I say is, "Will you take me there?"
Yeah.
And if somebody
John
is
would be
true,
one. Yeah,
yeah, if
John would be a
somebody is
good one on that.
truly honest about their story and believes what they're telling you, they will say, "I will take you there." And I'm all about it. Take me there. Show me. I want to be in that spot. I want to see what
Okay,
you see. Yeah.
I gotta ask you this though, Gwendolyn. Is your husband crazy enough to get out there in the woods with you, or is he kind of like taking care of the fort?
He kind of takes care of the fort. I feel bad because he doesn't get to go out with me like he'd like to, but he also
Right.
can't really hike in the woods because he's got a leg injury, that
Right.
he's
Yeah.
that he's been nursing for a couple of years. So, and people say to me all the time, because I go out Bigfoot hunting with a group of guys. Like, I'm more man than some of those guys are, you know? I say, I'm more man than you are. And everybody laughs. But it's true. Like, I'm the first one that's running in when something happens, and I have no
Right.
fear. And I'm just like, my husband doesn't care. He's met all of the guys that I go researching with, and he trusts me. So we don't have an issue.
Right.
Like, people are always going, "I can't believe you go out there with a bunch of guys and your husband's okay with it." Um, First of all, I'm in menopause. So I don't want anything to do with anything. But like I
Thank
said,
you, Eric.
I'm more
By
of a
the way,
guy than
Eric's nickname is Fluffy, by the way, Gwendolyn. So don't let him fool you.
Perfect. But I'm a paramedic, so I'm used to running in when everybody else is running out. So I don't get scared by things. Like, I'll be the first one standing next to Bigfoot while he's screaming at me, and I'll be like, oh my God, I probably shouldn't be here, but I'm here anyway. It's just, I don't know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So have you ever had anything else paranormal happen or any other encounters with the Bigfoot as far as that goes, as far as visual sightings, or just the one time?
I had a visual sighting of Bigfoot in Salt Fork, Ohio at a group camp. I had parked yeah, right? I parked my Blazer or my Bronco up against the woods. So it was, I got there on Friday. Friday night, I sleep in the back of my Bronco. And Saturday morning, we get up and we go scouting for places, and we're down these dirt roads. And when we got back to camp, I get out of my car and I'm like, what the hell is that on the back of my tailgate? There was a 17.5-inch handprint on the back of my car that had got dusted from the road dirt. But everywhere I touched on the car was not fingerprinted. So I lifted them because that's what I do. I'm full on, like, I've got it all. And so Saturday night, I'm sleeping in my Bronco, and I had a fan hooked up to my battery pack. My battery pack died. The fan shut off, and it was getting warm. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I looked at my watch. It's like 2:30. I look out the back window and something is standing there. And I'm like, and right away I'm in, research mode. And I'm like, I would have had to drive through that to park where I was parked. So clearly that was not there before. And then I'm like, I started to panic. I mean, I'm a big tough girl, but a little bit of panic set in, and I was like, holy shit, like it's standing behind my car, like right behind my car. If I blink, is it going to hear me, smash the window, rip me out by my ankles, and God knows what, right? So I started to panic, and I'm just laying there, and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I look back like maybe 10 minutes later, and it's gone. I did not hear it walk away. There was nothing. And then I'm still going in like detective mode. I'm like, oh my God. So from the ground to the top of my car is like 5.5 feet. I didn't see shoulders or a head. All I saw was like a midsection of this thing. So I'm like, it's got to be 7, maybe 8 foot tall for me to not see shoulders or a head. There was just the midsection of it. And I'll never forget it because of just how I felt about it. It was crazy.
The small one that I encountered my first time, and I call it small because the second encounter I had a week later in the same area was the alpha, and I guarantee he was the alpha. He was, if he wasn't 9 feet tall, he was probably 9.5 to almost 10 feet tall, and massive. Man. I mean, he must have been 4.5 foot across the shoulders.
That's crazy.
Massive. And, the first one I saw was a little smaller, and I kind of either think it was a female because I saw it from a distance because it had a young one up in a tree.
Oh, and,
nice. Reaching up. And on the way out, we were riding dirt bikes, motorcycles, and I had a little like 175cc, an old, dirt bike. And when we got to the location where we saw it, and all three of us saw it, I stood on the seat of my motorcycle, and they sit pretty high. And I'm like 11 years old, so I'm not really tall, but I'm tall enough to be able to reach a branch.
Right.
I couldn't even put my hand up to the height that the head of this thing was at.
Wow.
And that was just the head. So I estimated it probably about 7.5 to 8 feet tall. So, and that says a lot when you're a kid, and jet black. I mean, it was completely jet black. It literally, the hair on it, well, I mean, the only way I could describe it is this.
Mm-hmm.
But when I
Yep.
saw it, it was sideways. Okay. And that was the small one. And the big one, I had several encounters with him growing up, so I know exactly what you mean and exactly
Mm-hmm.
what everybody means when they have these encounters. But I'm a firm believer from my interactions with them. I've only had like one bad interaction with them, and that was with when I first met the alpha. And I call him the alpha, but he had to have been the alpha. He was so huge. The only reason, was I was on my dirt bike and basically interrupted them hunting,
Oh,
and
wow.
they take offense to that. When you got a loud
Yeah.
dirt bike with it's cracking and popping back in the 70s and 80s, it's like, you're gonna do,
Yeah.
So obviously I upset him. So that was the only bad encounter I've ever had. But I'm a firm believer that if you and I try to tell everybody this, when you go out there and you try to investigate, go in a good way, because odds are if they've hooked up to your sense about you, to your energies that you're putting off, and I do believe they can
Mm-hmm.
do that. They can adapt that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like an imprint on people, okay, like wolves do, or dolphins do when they imprint on somebody. um, I think they do the same thing.
Right.
So, and they're such a tight knit group, so my thing is that they don't get aggressive to you unless you're threatening them in some way or offending them. And then
Mm-hmm.
secondly, you know, I've camped out in the woods, by myself. I've had them come up to the tent and make noises outside the tent and grunts and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and say, go away, leave me alone, and trying to sleep, and I never get bothered again. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a firm believer that if you let them know that they are not supposed to harm you or intimidate you in any way, it's kind of like the whole vampire theory thing where
Yeah.
a vampire can't come in your house without permission to
Mm-hmm.
enter. I kind of feel like it's almost that same thing with some of them. I'm not saying all of them, but I do believe there are distinctive differences in different tribal affiliations of them, and I want to call
Right.
them tribal affiliations because of different geographical regions.
Right.
So, but yeah,
We
there's
had
go on.
I've had one time because we interact with them quite a bit here on the property since we get rocks thrown in our direction to let us know that they're there, and I get
Mhm.
howls and growls and tree knocks and all kinds of stuff. I don't think they stay here permanently, but I think they move through here quite often, and
Yeah.
that's when we're encountering them. But I did have a group of guys come here. Sean Forker and Matt Arner came, and my girlfriend was here with her husband. And I took those guys into the woods here on the property
Mhm.
because I wanted somebody to see what was happening here. Because I'm always saying, if you don't believe me, come camp in the yard because
Right.
you'll leave here in the morning going, holy shit. Um, the next morning, after I had the guys in the woods, they left me know that they didn't like it. They don't mind if I take kids in the woods. They don't mind if I take my girlfriend in the woods. They do not like me taking other men into the woods. The message
Because
was clear.
yeah, it's a threat to them,
Yeah.
that's what it
They
is.
they
Yeah.
took a very tall sumac, a poison sumac tree, and snapped it at 5 feet in the air. And it was fresh because the plumes on the end of the tree were still green and still it hadn't even started to wilt yet. And
Right.
the air was very tense. Like I tried to
Mhm.
sit on the porch to do some work on the computer, and I was like, yeah, I'm uncomfortable. Like I'm gonna they were upset with me because
Yeah.
I have vowed to never take another guy into they don't mind my husband, but I do not take people they don't know into the woods. They don't like it.
Right. Let me ask you this, Glenn. Let me ask you this though. With your property where you're at or where you investigate at, and you don't give any details, okay? Because
Right.
I don't want to, I don't want everybody and their uncle out there. Um, but do you think that there's underground aquifers and underground cavern systems there?
So where I live about 20 miles from Centralia, which has been on fire since the 1960s. And
Right. Yeah.
a lot of those mines have been long abandoned, and
Hmm.
you can't even find them on a map anymore. That's how long ago they don't want people out
Wow.
there. So
Yeah.
the maps have gotten destroyed. You can drive through there right now. It's like 20 degrees outside, and you'll see pockets of steam coming up because those mines are
There's
still
still
on
fire.
fire today.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I have this theory that they're living in those mines. There's plenty of food, plenty of water. I think they traverse a certain area to maybe get to one thing, here and there, but I don't think they're leaving this area. I think they're staying here, and
Yeah.
they're kind of like us, going to the store or going to the mall or going to somewhere. They're doing their thing, and they're traveling around, and we're encountering them and interacting with them when they were here. And they'll throw
Right.
rocks and they'll land right in the middle of me and my husband. And my my husband goes, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "Yep." And he's like, "I'm going in the house." And he'll say to me, "Are you coming?" And I'm like, "No, I'm going to finish what I'm doing." If they wanted to hit us with the rock, they would have hit us with the rock. They're just
Yeah.
letting us know that they're here. Like, don't come into
Eric
the woods
brings
right now. I'm here.
Yeah, Eric brings up a good point in the chat there
Yep.
about the fires, giving them warmth too in the cold winter months too.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but what do you think about this? This is a theory that I've been working on too with them, and I know from my own encounters, I know from my own encounters during the daylight hours with them, that their eyesight really isn't as good as it is when they're in the shade or the dark hollers of the
Oh, yeah.
woods, or or if it's nighttime. Okay, and that's
Hmm.
usually why they hunt the hollers and the dark areas and at night,
Hmm.
for food, and usually travel at night. That's my theory. So their vision being off, I've always wondered, you know, everybody talks about the wood knocks, about the rock clacking, and stuff like that. What if that is their way of seeing during the daytime, um, and at nighttime in some instances where there's like a bright full moon and their vision is impaired and not 100%? What if that's some kind of echolocation?
Very well could be. Bats do it. Why not?
Exactly. Bats do it,
Absolutely.
dolphins do it,
Hmm.
I mean, there's all kinds of animal life out there that does it. And it would make sense to me that if they live in a cave system or somewhere underground, whether it's lava tubes they're walking through or underground streams, caverns, you
Yep.
know, cave systems, mining shafts, whatever you want to, whatever you have in your area. It's just, to me, it makes sense that if they're underground, you know, during the daylight hours to where they can't be seen, maybe when they come out at the daytime and they get caught in broad daylight, it's because their eyesight isn't that good. And they hear
Mm,
the tree knocks to kind of find their positioning
right.
or your positioning.
Could
Um,
be.
I'd even I'd even go one step further and say that maybe that is also a form of making sure that there's no way that they could be seen, as far as like using echolocation to spot electronic devices
Hmm.
like trail cameras or something like that.
Yep.
Everybody thinks that it's because they can see infrared. I've always had this theory that maybe it's just because it's not tree knocks we're hearing. Maybe it is a literally a clicking of the tongue, and
Could
them
be.
being so massive and having such lung capacities, it comes off sounding like a tree knock.
Mm-hmm.
Just a
Yep.
thought, you know.
I used to have a dairy farm, and I was amazed at the cows because you could drop a dime in the middle of the shit covered barnyard. It would be covered with crap, but those cows would know that something was different in the barnyard.
Mhm.
And I say to people all the time, the woods are their backyard. It's their kitchen, their living room. If you think for 10 seconds you're not putting a game trail camera out there and they don't know it, you're crazy because they
Yeah,
live there. They are there every day. They know if something is different. We're not there every day.
yeah,
I'm not in the woods every day on my own property because I respect the fact that that's their area. I don't go down there very often. They let me know when they're here. And sometimes I walk down to the edge and I look and whatever, but I'm not tramping through their woods. I would not
hmm,
know if that tree fell last week or 3 years ago. You know what I mean? But they are
right,
certainly going to know. They know if I put a
right,
trail camera out there because it's different. Something is different.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought, you know, it just to me it kind of makes sense. I mean, because if they are actually even aquatic, you know, even if the, you know, because a while ago, I mean, I used to see them bathing in streams and in, you know, and
Hmm.
in lakes and ponds all the time and in swampy areas. And there for a while, I started calling them the aquatic apes. And, you
Hmm.
know, it was just something that I just, you know, started calling them. And then you start thinking about, well, you know, when you're dealing with sea life, and especially sea life that's dark and, you know, at the bottom of the ocean where it's dark and pitch black and no light comes in, there's echolocation that they use.
Hmm.
There's other adaptive things that they use to brighten the darkness of the water to see. You know, self illumination and all that. You know, I mean, there's all kinds of theories that I've got that I've just been kicking around that maybe they're just not a typical Bigfoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe they're just not some. You know, for the longest time, I always hated the people that said, "Oh, they're just big dumb apes." You know, they're
Yeah. I don't think
Gigantopithecus, and
so.
that's all they are. You know, that's all they can be. And you know, I'm sorry, but they're not Gigantopithecus. Okay,
No.
that's just me. you know, from interacting with them, they're just as smart, if not
Right.
smarter than a human. So they're clever, they're intelligent, they're family oriented,
Hmm.
and they're very protective. Okay.
Hmm.
So, and that's just from my encounters. And, but yeah, I've always had that theory that maybe echolocation, Eric brought up the thing about them having a very, very strong sense of smell. And
Absolutely.
maybe they can smell the plastics and stuff or the electronics devices, you know, how they have that burnt smell.
Hmm.
That could be too. These are all things that we need to really consider. And because they're making us look like fools. They're making humanity look like we're a bunch of blithering idiots out in the woods.
I think they're much smarter than we are.
Exactly, exactly. And
They're
you
much
know,
smarter than we are.
I wouldn't put it past them that, you know, during the daylight hours when we're out there in the woods and stuff, and even at night, that they're not standing somewhere a couple hundred yards away just laughing their asses off and pointing at us. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just that's just, you know, I really do believe that because they are so intelligent
Hmm.
that, you know, the ones that I interacted with, I mean, they were gracious. Okay.
Hmm.
They weren't mean, they weren't hateful. They were very
No.
protective of me, especially when I was young. When I was younger, all the way up until I was probably like 16, 17 years old. They were very, very protective of me and on the property. So yeah, I just, you know, I don't know. It was just, you know, kind of thought about that echolocation thing, and it kind of makes
Yeah.
sense, you know, because they're
Hmm.
always around water. If they're going to be somewhere during the daytime where they're not seen, obviously it's going to be either underground in cave systems or old mining shafts and tunnel systems and
Hmm.
underground aquifers. underground streams. I mean, we have it all over the place. Lava tubes,
Absolutely.
I
Every
mean,
time.
Mount Shasta is a perfect one, and Mount St. Helens,
Mm-hmm.
for Bigfoot sightings out there in the Pacific Northwest.
Yep.
Lava tubes. That's what those mountains are, folks. Those are volcanoes. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so they could traverse lava tubes, just as easy as
Absolutely.
anything. So
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
sometimes when they're actually observed, walking in daytime, I think that's why they try to stick to the streams and the power lines and the railroad tracks, because it's easier for them to see.
Yeah.
I think they really have a hard time seeing in daylight. And I'm talking like bright sun, direct sunlight. I think that
Could
if
very
they're in
well
the
be.
shade, yeah, and I've always noticed that they like sleeping under pine trees, and pine trees give a lot of cover from the sun, so that could be too. So,
Mm-hmm.
and from the weather. So, and
Yep.
it's a vitamin C food source too. On top of that, so I mean, there's so many different things that I think that we need to actually consider,
Yeah.
when we do this. And I think everybody investigating it should probably get together and just ask each other what our thoughts are on it, as far as like
Absolutely.
echolocation. And I just, I mean, if we're gonna get anywhere in this field, we've all got to work together. So
Absolutely. I can't agree more. I can't agree more. And really we have to stop with the camps that we are in. Like some people, I'm not in a camp. I try to go where the evidence takes me, which I have way
mhm,
more questions than I've ever gotten an answer, right? But
right,
I've refused to say, well, it's flesh and blood and it's nothing more. And I refuse to say it's
mhm,
woo or it's travels dimensions or it travels for portals. When it walks out of a portal in front of me, I will be on board with the portal train. Until
right,
then, I keep all of those as options because they are all options, right?
yeah,
But I I think when you walk into the woods with the train of thought that of what it is already, you throw away evidence because it doesn't fit your narrative. And
right,
that's bad for research. Like you have to take in all of the stuff. Maybe
mhm,
half of that stuff doesn't even apply. You know what I mean?
right,
Maybe down the road 10 years from now we discover, maybe those tree knocks aren't tree knocks after all. Who knows, right?
right,
But
yeah,
if you don't document the weird and crazy things that you find, you see, you hear, you experience, we're never going to get the answers.
exactly.
And
And
we have
that
to
is
work
a
together.
that is a that is a very profound statement there. So, with that being said, I want to thank you for being here. Okay, I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate this. This has been great. We got to have you back,
Absolutely.
and we're gonna talk more about the magazine and get people to actually see if people can give you their stories and stuff, and
Absolutely.
get the word out. And I'm all about promoting everybody and trying to help out everybody because they help me
Absolutely.
out too. So that being said, Gwendolyn, I want you to let everybody know how they can get a hold of you. Okay, tell them your website.
Yep.
Hopefully Eric can type it out. If not, then just we'll have everybody get pencil and pen ready.
Sure. You can I'm like Bad Money. I'm everywhere. I have a personal Facebook page. I have five other Facebook pages. There's one for the festival. There's one for the magazine. There's one for Got Knockers. Um, oh my gosh. Let's see. Strangenocks.com is probably the best place to get a hold of me. That picture is just so funny. Strangenocks.com is the website for the magazine. And there is a comment section on that website that you can send to me messages right through the website, or you can just jump on my regular Facebook page and shoot me messages. My phone number is listed on there. The best way to get a hold of me from my phone is through text messages because I'm not always available to answer the phone, but I can always, type out a message. So
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
And what about your radio program and podcast? How can they when can they watch you or listen to you or
The podcast, my next podcast show will be Tuesday night at 7:00 on the CARC Universal YouTube channel, and it'll also be live on Facebook. And our next show is with Aaron Drees from Small Town Monsters. I'm super excited.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm looking forward to that too. I'll be on Facebook
Yeah.
watching. So
Awesome.
but thank you again for being here, and
Thank you.
keep up the good work. Okay.
I'm trying.
Keep cracking that whip and make them manly girls up there that go out into the woods and get afraid of Bigfoot up there. Keep on putting them to shame. So
Oh yeah.
nothing nothing against the guys in PA, but
The
you
YouTube
all
channel
gotta
name
support it.
is the CARC Universal channel. It's the Catskill Appalachian Collective Research Collective Universal channel on YouTube.
CARC.
Yep, CARC Universal.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you, Gwendolyn. I'm going to put you
Thank you.
backstage, and
Sure.
once I close this out, I'm going to introduce you to Eric, so Eric can
Sure.
ask you a couple things backstage, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Gwendolyn. Guys, I appreciate it. That was fantastic. I want to thank Eric for helping out with the chat, and thank Gwendolyn for being such a gracious guest. If you can support her, on her YouTube channel and the podcast, I'm going to be watching that podcast on Facebook probably. I believe I have the CARC on YouTube channel on my favorites list, so I'm going to have to double check that tonight. But I want to thank the mods. Roxanne and Ursa, you guys are great. Thank you, Corey, for being here, and everybody in the chat, Aaron and everybody. I appreciate you guys so much. If you can, like, heart, and share this out. And remember, what do I always say? Question everything, guys. Question everything. Okay. Tomorrow morning, we're going to get into the AI subject. At 11:30 a.m., we're going to be starting. Okay. So I will see everybody then, and Eric will be on the stage too with me, hopefully. So take care, everybody.
The sky turned black, the stars fell down. United we stand, but we're losing ground. One world beneath the iron fist. Voices silenced, they cease to resist. Echoes of hope in the darkening night. Fading whispers of a long lost life. Rise up, hear the call to arms. In this storm of chaos, we'll find our charms. Together we'll fight through the ashes and dust. A phoenix reborn in our hearts' purest trust.